Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say hello and welcome. Welcome to a fresh, brand new edition of the program, The Rescue Bridge on Bridge Radio Africa. My name is Ashford Gale, as always, and I'm pretty sure you're having a great time tonight. Please invite a few friends so that we can together have a great time tonight. And as always, Father God, we want to give you praise, we want to give you honor. We want to magnify your name. Blessed be your holy name forever. Father God, we want to give you all the honor. We want to pray for Liberia, pray for the people of Liberia. Thank you so much, Lord Jesus, for giving us the strength to be here tonight. In the name of Jesus, we have given thanks. Amen. With that said, please invite your friends, relatives, and loved ones as we come to you tonight with a very special edition of the Rescue Bridge. By way of introduction, some heard the name, some heard people talk about them. You've gotten the opportunity tonight, folks. The giant, the mastermind, the doctor of love, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio, Africa's media doobie do it extraordinaire. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. I'm Ashford Garley. Welcome to the show. Do us a favor. Your friends are not our friends, so please share the video as we come to you tonight with a very special edition of the Rescue Bridge. Liberians have spoken and want to give God the glory for the Liberians who went out on Tuesday and voted for their country. Listen, corruption was on the ballot, rape was on the ballot, abuse of power was on the ballot, dictatorship was on the ballot. So I'm calling you tonight. I'm calling Liberians tonight. You will also have the opportunity when we open the phone lines for you to speak to Liberia, speak to the Liberian people. Finally, we are all free at last. God doesn't sleep. The people of Liberia went out and voted for the person of their choice. Liberia has gotten a new president. And we are going to say this. We are coming to Liberia for this inauguration. I'm telling you. With that said, let me introduce my co-panelist, Dr. James T. Fisk. Dr. Fisk, my man, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashwat. And I just want to use this time to say thanks to everyone who's listening and watching. And I just want to invite you all, as well as your friends, relatives, and loved ones, to yet another explosive edition of Ashford Gale Live on Bridge Radio Africa. Thank you.
My man, it been a while, man, since we last saw you on the show. Tell us a little bit about what you heard so far in the news in Liberia, my man.
I mean, just like every other Liberian, we've been following the result. Um, but I mean, hopefully, by the time all is said and done,
Mm-hmm.
Liberia has a new president. And the reason for that is, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it.
Right.
It's about time that politicians are put on record, and Liberian voters need to also put legislators on record, which they with some of them already, like the Akara Gray of the world, spending $1,000 in France, and your constituents don't have a job. Okay, so I hope that there's a new trend that's being set in Liberia, where when you come into the office of the presidency and you think it's a joke,
Mm-hmm.
because the lives of the people, the progress, posterity depend on your ability to function well. If you can't do those things, the people kick you out. If you come and you still want to be in a commentary state, a state of commentary about what happened in the past, you opposition mindset. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have the mindset that people are holding you responsible to make things happen for them. Then of course they put you on the side, and hopefully once that trend is set, when people come and be, and get the presidency, they will see, they will be humble. and do the right thing for the people, because the people tired of holding guns, and they realize that, okay, fine, the best way to do it, we're just going to vote this person out. They bring the money, we eat the money, and still vote them out. So that's, I mean, that's a win for Liberia if at the end of the day, when all is said and done, George Weah and his group gets to leave office.
And I want to say this, James. I have something to play here. And 6 years ago, nearly the entire country was emotional when George Weah took office. Just take a listen or take a watch at this at this image right here. 6 years ago, when George Weah came to power.
Leading with 61.5% to Buckeyes 38.5%, where grew up in Claratown slum in Monrovia and went on to become the only African to win FIFA World Player of the Year. His rags to riches story helped him tap into dissatisfaction with Johnson Sirleaf's 12-year tenure, whereas critics, however, say that he's offered few concrete policy proposals, and his running mate, Jewel Howard Taylor, ex-wife of warlord Charles Taylor, has also raised eyebrows.
And
Well, George Weah's supporters took to the streets celebrating the lead in the presidential runoff.
like you said, Dr. Fix, you are on record saying that if the Liberian people put you there and you don't perform, they give you the red card. In this case, this is George Weah. We trusted you. We put you in position, but you failed miserably. You thought you have arrived. Treat your own people like dirt. And today, despite all the money you had, giving people money, false propaganda, people selling their souls to the devil, using our country's money. But the people say, you know what? We eat your money, but we'll still vote you out. And that's what they did to George Weah, Dr. Fisk.
Yeah, I mean, so who gets the power and say and be proud to say, oh well, I didn't do anything and the people made me president? That was the mantra of George Weah. Always said that. Coming up with all kinds of divisive things, country. At the end of the day, people beginning to realize that all those things don't matter. What tribe you are. Those things don't matter. It's just that Cummings had a poor campaign strategy. Cummings could have easily become president of Liberia as well. Okay. So I realize that at the end of the day, it's about them. So if you come to power and you decide that, okay, you're going to make it, who takes an entire country money and go sit down to watch soccer game? I mean, subordinating your entire family to an entire country. Who does stuff like that? Only George Weah did that. You see? And at the end of the day, I always told George Weah supporters. They say, oh, incumbency in Liberia. I told them, I said, Liberia is a country that has been a political trend setter. We are on record. Liberia was the first country to become a republic. Liberia was the first country in Africa, and perhaps maybe at least let's say Africa, to elect a woman president. Liberia is the first country to elect a soccer president. And Liberia again would be the first country to take an incumbent and remove them from power after one term. So I've always said that, like Liberia has overlooked the country to do anything, including putting your wife on salary. No one has ever done that before. And then your wife not even living in the country, so the people are not even benefiting. She promised that you're going to open some wig store or hair store or factory, okay, which is what I talk about all the time. But she didn't think the factory was good for Liberia. She think that opening a welfare institution was good for Liberia, and if there will be any factory, it will be in Jamaica. I mean, how low can your own people? So at the end of the day, it was up to the people to have a popular uprising, okay, a peaceful but popular uprising to remove him from power. And they are not removing George Weah from power because they so love Joseph Boakai. They just hate his policies. They want change. They want improvement. They want jobs. Jobs. And if Joseph Waka come and he don't understand that, after 6 years, they will remove him from power as well. So that is the trend. And this is a good day for Liberia.
Okay, thank you. But before we bring in Reverend Added, you know, I was shocked this afternoon when I received this audio recording. You know, we have been hearing about people looting the offices, and we also saw on the show where the former legislatures were looting the offices, taking the old air conditionings and refrigerator. My sister Angeline Peters is in the building. We, how you doing? Good to have you on. But I want to caution you, the family people, here for a minute. There's this audio I'm about to play. It has some colorful words in it, and please close the ears of the children. The people are so upset. They are planning to keep Monrovia or Liberia in the dark. They say they will remove all the transformers. They will cut the LEC off, and those who have generator, they will increase the price of the fuel oil, so you you can't have electricity. Your new president you're bringing, let he fix it for you. Take a listen.
And in fact, just gave a mandate where it should not amend it. I just gave a mandate to the guys there at LEC. Every one of these transformers we put up in recent time, we're taking all them damn transformer down. Saying y'all won't be sneezes motherfuckers. We keep the whole damn city dark. 2023, when you bring your next president, he or she can get your light. But until then, you're gonna be in the dark ass bitch. Yo got generators. We're gonna take the fucking fuel price up. Yeah, we'll strangle. We're gonna step on your fucking neck, motherfuckers. Eat our money, woo our buried, and try to deceive us. You think there's a fucking joke? We mad motherfuckers. Come on, boy. When I eat you, they're gonna shake and give you a heart attack. Fuck it.
Citizens are mad. And at this time, I'd like to say hello and welcome to my friend and brother, the Reverend Idatu Sadit. Adi, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you. Greetings to all of you Liberians, in the diaspora in Liberia watching tonight. Greetings to my friend and brother, Dr. Fitz and Joel. The giant, we're here. God bless you. I'm proud to be with you all once more. Thank you.
My friend and brother, Joel Dundas, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, brother. Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be here once again, going into this new journey with Liberia. I'm happy for all of us. I hope to have a good show tonight. Thank you.
Well, this is a serious business, so let me take out the goggles. And as you can see, I'm fresh tonight. I have plenty of rest. My eyes are clear. Almost 2 years now. No alcohol. I don't mess with the cigar no more. I'm fresh, getting prepared for the show tonight because this is a new day in Liberia, Dr. Face, you just listen to the audio that was played, man. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, but this is what is happening when you don't make sure that institutions work. When you have a system of patronage, people. It's about time Liberians, and it's good the results of the elections today because Liberians are making it clear that this patronage system, they are not interested in it because the patronage system gives you the opportunity, gives you the belief that the resources of the nation belongs to you, and you can dispense of the resources at your own whims and caprices. No, it's not like that. So these guys came to power and did not even understand power, how to use power and how to use it. Right? Okay, and even unfortunately, when Ellen Johnson came to power as well, she had a lot of things going for her, but I mean, she was too slow in providing what she herself called the deliverables, and that is frustration that made Liberian people vote for George Weah. I hope Mr. Waka, if he does win the election, can have a period of reflection and understand why is it like
Just stop calling the man. Go ahead.
did they vote him into power because they hated George Weah or because they love him? Okay, did they vote him into power because they especially that opportunity? Okay, so you don't come to power and think like once Infamously, it is alleged that Joe Howard Taylor said, "Oh, that was on the time to chop." No, that's a messed up mentality. The country is far behind. It need people who are determined to move the nation forward. We can't continue to be the last children on the block when we were the first African country to get a republic. We can't continue to look like a track. The country is dirty, jobless, and dirty. Can't have a country like that's not a country. You see, it's a failed state. And we need to turn the situation around. And the best way that it could have been done was for Liberians to take the first step, which I hope they have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Idatus, you will have your say on the recording just played. So it's Joel, but with you, I mean, you can retain a lot of stuff up there. I want to play another recording, and following that recording, you're going to tell us the kind of leadership that Joseph Newman Boyka is bringing to the country in terms of government of inclusion. But before then, I listened to Len Eugene Nangbe when he said, nobody from the opposition will work in our government when George Weah is announced president. Well, he missed it because George Weah is a one-termer. Take a listen to Eugene.
We're not appoint any unity Palestinian but because when the opposition to be strong, we will have strong democracy. After we win, after the president is inaugurated, we are not including UP people in our government. We want the UP to get strong because we're strong opposition.
Would not have anybody from the opposition in our government. We wanted to be strong, so we need a strong opposition. Who does that? Who makes a statement like that? Idatu's had it.
You know, Ashfa, I want to first of all begin by thanking the Liberian people that have placed their trust in the responsible leadership of the Honorable Joseph Newman Boyka. I am extremely grateful to everyone who stood the test of time, tolerated the insults, the ostracization, but they committed themselves to protecting the votes because Liberia needs a new direction. I just want to say on behalf of Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I say thank you from my own self that you were patient enough to listen to me, even when you did not agree with me. We say thank you. It is now time to reunite the nation. Politics is not over, but the competition is quite frankly over. So we're looking forward to healing the nation. With respect to the gentleman who wants to tear down those transformers, I don't even know if I can dignify that gentleman who is speaking under whose authority to even give him a response. It's just pure gangsterism. And that is why this government that is politically juvenile will be replaced, hopefully by the will of the people, especially with these results that we're hearing now. To the comment of Minister Nangbe, let's be very clear. This is precisely a reflection of the politically juvenile delinquent group of individuals who have taken the helm of power, who makes such a statement. Under the Joseph Newman Boyka's leadership, this, as he has stated, will be a government of inclusion. What does that mean? You will work in this government based on your skills. This we're all hoping will not be a partisan government. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And he made that speech way before this time, assuring us that in spite of our political differences, this next administration intends to include all Liberians. And it makes sense. Look at the people who were protecting the votes. They were Liberians. Seditions, members of the CPP, our Liberian brothers and sisters, we've had our differences. We've had our differences. We politically were diverse in our opinions, persuaded strongly, at times spoke harshly to one another, insulted, denigrated, among several other things. But these are some of the things that happen in politics, and it's time
Thank
for us to come together. Liberia first. Thank Liberia, love Liberia. Let's build Liberia. Thank
again.
you.
Again, I want to say a big thanks to all of you for taking up time of your busy schedule just to form part of the show tonight. I see a whole lot of friends here tonight. My friend and brother, my childhood friend, is live watching from South Africa. Addison David Marvin is in the building. My son, Johnny Depp, Gucci is also here. Asinet Badio, Roosevelt, Nahiwat is also here. Oretha Billy, Moses Thurmans, and the rest of the crew. How you all doing tonight? Aaron Anderson, Ugan, Abene, Godman. Bill, please do us a favor, Thurmans Awaji, share the video, invite more friends as Liberia is in a new day. Joel Dennis, take it away.
Well, I didn't hear the full tape that was played, but listen, CDC is, I mean, imagine the power that these people had, and it has slipped away. I'm not even gonna say slipping anymore. It slipped away. They can't. They try to figure out how to cheat the system. It just didn't work, man. And I mean, I'm proud of the Liberian people, to be honest with you. It shows the maturation of the Liberian people, the politics of the Liberian people. And listen, I hope come tomorrow, between now and inauguration day, we can have peace and we can have a peaceful transfer of power. I am looking forward to this next journey. I think when you look at what happened in this election, even all of us on this stage, I mean, what we are seeing here is we don't really have 6 more years to play around. I think Amara Kone, not everybody that was involved in this whole process don't really have another 6 more years to play around with George Weah and his people. So I'm really happy that with the results that's happening so far, and the people that stood up to protect the votes, let them tear down the transformer. We're going to have real law and order in Liberia, and they'll be prosecuted. They're not going to turn Liberia into some jungle and think they're going to get away with it. So let them do what they want to do, but the state power will be taken from them, and they will be handcuffed and dealt with according to the law. Thank you.
And Dr. Fisk, for the first time, I am proud of my country and the people of my country. Despite the attempts, by this government to entice the people with money, those poor watchers, man, we have to give it to them because they were offered money. Oh, if you give JMB invited vote, we'll give you $50, we'll give you $20. But they put country first and say, you know what? Enough is enough. Our people suffer for 6 years under this good-for-nothing leader. So we are going to make him a one-term president. And that's a big message to JMB. For the first party election, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to support any of these people. But I needed to make a decision. I wanted to be on the right side of history. I campaigned vigorously for boycott in 2017 because I always knew George Weah was good for nothing. He wasn't going to do anything. So I couldn't flip-flop. When it came to Joe Boyka and George Weah, not a Joe Boyka, it's a sin. But he's a better leader with experience than that empty-headed George Weah. So we had to publicly come out to lend our support without precondition. Dr. Fisk.
The thing is, Ashwa, to some extent, disagree that George Weah is, not empty-headed. He's just corrupt and selfish. Okay, so people who are very corrupt and selfish, they're not necessary. They just know the right thing to do and just refuse to do the right thing. That's what was happening. Because why? All he thought, and there was this one time we talked about the different categories of politicians, and all he thought was that he was going to ride his charisma once more. But what we discussed in that editorial is that charisma is episodic. When that episode is finished, you are done. If you don't have tangibles that people can look at, and what were his tangibles? Soccer field all across the country. Why do people don't have jobs? Okay, so let Joseph, there's several things that you mentioned, and I just want to speak to them briefly. Number one, the decision that you made to say, okay, fine. Here's the time that we have to make a decision. I don't like Joseph Boakai either, but if I was voting in Liberia, I would have voted for Boakai. Why? Because the message needs to be sent out that if you come and mess with Liberian people, you serve for only one term. That was the biggest message any Liberian who's patriotic would have decided to send out. But Mr. Cummings decided that that message was not important. Cummings defined himself during the last days of the election to be a job seeker. Okay. And what did he do? He turned around. Do you believe that Charlene Bronsky endorsed George Weah without the acquiescence of Cummings as a corporate person? No. Cummings was aware. So who did Cummings waste his time to vote for? Himself. If he needed to vote for himself, he didn't need to vote at all. So he voted for someone. And I want to say that he may have voted for George Weah. Because why? He made Charlene to endorse George Weah. Okay? So, I mean, hats off to people who have better integrity to understand that this country here is bigger than just, oh, I want this job. And that's how Cummings define himself. And it's going to be hard for him, just the same way how when he was introduced in a hammock, it's going to be hard for him to redefine himself because people like us will be here to remind the Liberian people that when it was critical for this guy to make a sound decision, because at the level of presidency, we don't want people who are guessing like the George Weahs of the world. This guy was fun wanting. Okay. And the last thing to just say, I hope Joseph Boakai understands that Liberian people are still craving for an economic crimes court. War crimes court is not really realistic because look at Vladimir Putin. Putin is a killer. How many Western countries you see talking about, oh, let's investigate Putin? Look at the guy, look at other dictators around the world. They are there. Syria, the guy from Syria, he continues to be president. Who persecuting him? Nobody. So why the West is peaceful? Because they look at some of these ills and they try to, for the sake of politics, they try to just put it on the side for some time. I think Liberians should do that. So one way or another, I don't see Joseph Boakai repaying the likes of Prince Johnson with war crimes code. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. But an economic crimes code is very needed. And Joseph Boakai needs to understand that this thing is not about reconciliation. You can do reconciliation for 30 days. The people need jobs. That's the best reconciliation you can give. Stop importing rice from China and India. Let the money stay in Liberia to create jobs opportunity. I hope he has serious-minded people that will be able to come to the table and bring realistic ideas so that within the next 3 to 4 years, the country will move better. Then he tried to stop this stupid thing that George Weah did to be giving his wife money. So these are there are a lot of ills that was planted in the system that we will now start to look at if Boakai is finally elected to start to get off the Liberian people back because it's ridiculous. So I mean, that is what the people voted for, to remove the ridiculous nonsense that was being masqueraded for 6 years as a government. It wasn't.
And speaking of weird mishaps, I would say the same thing of Joseph Boakai. He's lived in the same house for over 40 years. I don't want to see him in the next couple of months start to build mansion like we did, when he got into power. I went to Liberia in February to build Spoon TV, and the next thing you know, in March, I saw we are breaking down his old house. Joseph Boakai, you are comfortable in your home that you built for over 40 years. Your next residence is the executive mansion. But if I catch you building multiple mansions that they clown who is leaving office now, you hear from me. We don't want jobs. We want our people to be comfortable in their own country. I want to go back home, and make sure that British Radio reaches every part of the country. And by the way, British Radio will be reaching out to you people. You want to invest to take British Radio to the next level? The opportunity is there for you. My brother, Lord bless Son Rappers. How you doing? It's been a long time. Tommy Shaw, sorry, my brother. We are lost, I know you're crying like crazy, but you're sorry now. Yeah, you're sorry, yeah. Peter Newville, Aliyah, Moyon, T, Doc and Riches. My man, are we going for inauguration? Markin and Pico, are we going? Are we going to Liberia for inauguration in January? Let me give it up to my brother now. That's had it. Stanik, the thing here is
Well,
we don't want
uh-huh.
to see. I know who you are. I know what you stand for. You're not. You are never in this for job. I mean, you're very comfortable in these United States of America. As a matter of fact, you are helping people in Liberia more than some of the government officials are doing. But I know the kind of person you are. If the government starts to go the other way around, you will speak up. What say you?
And you are absolutely correct, Ashford. Some of us added our voices to this change that we can believe in, not for anything at all. So we should and always hold our government accountable for the greater good of the country. And rest assured, the Honorable Ambassador, Vice President, potential incoming President knows precisely that he has a mandate from the people, and he should not believe that he's going to get this easy because the Liberian people have placed their faith in him and they expect him to deliver and hope that their dreams and aspirations will be realized. So there is no compromise here. And, he's also stated that he just wants to lay a sound foundation down of leadership. This man has enjoyed some of the best life, as vice president, living comfortably in Liberia, So he's basically intend to lay down leadership that will reflect the dreams and aspirations of the Liberian people, such as a government of inclusion, hiring people based on meritocracy. So he knows he has to hit the ground running, and that is why he's done everything to carve out a policy. I heard Dr. Fitz say he has to bring the War and Economic Crimes Court. Elections are over, but that's pillar number 6 on his platform regarding anti-corruption, working with international partners to bring back stolen wealth to the country so that Liberians can be the direct beneficiary of their revenue. So that's something he intends to do. And certainly with this platform, I'm sure that you will hold me accountable. We will hold ourselves accountable to speak truth to power comfortably. And that's the way it should be.
Well, Joel, what do you hope to see in the first 100 days? Are we looking at auditing? Are we looking at prosecution? Because people who never earned $100 a month in their entire life today, they're building mansions in the country.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Listen, I'm with you, Ashford. I don't see Boyka as a transformational leader, and he doesn't need to be. He needs to be a caretaker government. I mean, it's for progress to happen in Liberia. The Liberians who've been living in America for X amount of years, they're sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars in their 401k. I mean, these people have to go back and contribute to the economy of Liberia. We're not going to get any free money from nobody. The UN is not coming back. So we have to go and help Joseph Boyka, and we got to apply the pressure on him, on his government. But it's going to be a competition of ideas. We have to go back, take risk, try, fail, and try again. So yes, in the first 100 days, I would like to see the government auditing everybody from the former government, every single body, up to George Weah. And I hope, we don't have this scenario 6 years from now. If they don't do anything, we have George Weah and CDC breathing down our backs again, like Donald Trump is breathing down America's back. I hope they try him and make sure he's not allowed to run for president ever again. We don't want a scenario where is just breathing down our neck and we can't move forward in Liberia. George Weah needs to be tried. He needs to be, forget economics cool. We don't need the international community to come. We can do this right in Liberia. We don't need out foreigners in Liberia. If Boyka wins, if he has the will, we can do all of this right in Liberia. I mean, they did it in Rwanda. Rwanda did not need the French people to come and determine who was going to, who was guilty of war crimes in Rwanda. We can do this right in Liberia. So yes, I would like to, if that's all he does for the next 6 years is bring these people back to Liberia, bring all the money in the stove, that'll help even jumpstart the Liberian economy. Because we know Joseph Boyka is coming into a situation where the Liberia is broke, completely broke. And anybody that even take job in Liberia now, they must be aware that it's not going to be an easy free ride. They're going to have to take a salary, a pay cut. They're going to have a reduction in their lifestyle because Liberia is broke. There is no money in this country. There is no money. There is no activity. So, I mean, with that said, yes, audit them, audit them, audit them, put them in jail. That arrest synonym that Joseph Boycott made, I forget what it stands for. Just arrest them. Thank you.
Dr. Fix, what I'm about to talk about has something to do with your turf. Uh, Grown men, our friends, and our friends, brothers and sisters in Liberia, are begging to eat. Sometimes the women become the breadwinners in the home. They go out and go hustle and bring in food to eat for the family to eat. Little children are controlling the home now. From the ages of 13, 14, 15, they go out there and do some uncomfortable things, all right, and bring food home to the family. Because if they don't do it, there will be no food in the home. We don't have jobs. We have plenty of people in the country. Nobody is thinking in creating jobs. What will it take to get the wheel of jobs turning in the country?
Yeah, thank you, Ashra. That's a very important question. That's anybody who's thinking about running Liberia now. That should be the thing that should be front and center for them. Every other thing should be secondary. Okay, so we're supposed to be able to walk and chew gum at the same. I don't say people shouldn't pursue the anti-corruption. I don't say people shouldn't try to pursue, money that have been stolen and cashed away in foreign banks and the rest of it. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. But I'm also saying that it doesn't make sense that the country has over 200 inches of rain for a year. It has fertile soil. The only thing the country lacks, because you have over 50% of the population that's unemployed, the only thing the country lacks is factories. Okay? So build some factories in the country and stop the importation of rice. When you do that, maybe you just added 20%. You've just significantly reduced unemployment in Liberia by maybe up to 20%. Okay, because if you have rice factory in each county in Liberia, basically what you are doing is that you are significantly cutting unemployment in the country. And now you're not importing rice from China. In other words, you are strangulating Chinese and Indian farmers in favor of Liberian farmers. Okay, so now you're making Liberian farmers to have jobs because now they have the incentive to farm. That was the basis of the PL480. The American government decided to incentivize American farmers by selling the excess rice and other commodities. So Liberia can do the same thing too. Try to encourage. I was listening to some tape where they talk about the lack of roads. So to the food, people growing the food up in the interior and sitting down and just getting rotting. Okay, so if we cannot have roads immediately because it's going to take time to have those roads, we can use the waterway. Okay, we can have ships moving, small ships, small boats, and the rest of it moving cargo one place to another. But the long story short, the most important thing that should be propping up all across Liberia are factories. Okay, and the first thing Joseph Boakai could do for Liberia is to declare rice, RICE, a national security commodity. In other words, Liberia would not, this is the, if there will be any community, any commodity that the country is going to have exclusive right over, is going to be rice, RICE, because he understands the history of rice in that country and use it as a basis to try to get money. Because I can tell you, if you build factories in Liberia and Liberia start to feed its own self, and in some instances export, the money that's going to accrue from it is going to be more than any other money that is going to come from, going after stolen wealth, or maybe perhaps the repatriation of Liberians from abroad back to Liberia. Because even Liberians, if they decide to leave the United States and other countries and go back home, they will also be looking for jobs. And let's face it, most of the people here, they work in factories. So why not build the same factories so that they stay in the country? That's my argument.
Reverend added with his background in agriculture, and you clearly listen to Dr. Fisk. You have to keep the wheel turning. People need jobs. People need the bread and butter issue to be fixed. and I'm pretty sure agriculture is one of those things listed in arrest.
Absolutely, it is in fact the first thing is agriculture, roads, education, um, sanitation and tourism. So who else can better facilitate this reality but someone who's worked in the field for years, the Honorable Joseph Boyka. So Dr. Fix, rest assured there's a vision, there's a plan regarding empowering our country and its citizens to be able to become self-sufficient. And as you would see in the last 12 years, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf received the Serra Medal Award in Lofa, symbolically the breadbasket of Liberia, all because the Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka was managing the One Health program, wherein agriculture was in fact one of his portfolio. And Jacques Diouf was quite impressed to see that Liberia had come this far after war, making strides in the area of agriculture. Unfortunately, yes, campaign is over under this government. Those infrastructures that were put in place have all degraded or degenerated. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Honorable Joseph Boyka embraced, in fact, within his platform, those very ideas that you are talking about. So it is within his vision to ensure that Liberia becomes self-sufficient with rice.
Joel, a lot of people are complaining about the age of Honorable Boycott. Let us talk about the strength of leadership that he brings to the table. Now, people are saying, he's not going to do anything. He's just going to sit there and allow others to run the show. And others will strongly disagree that this old man, don't see him like that. 'Cause he makes decisive decisions.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing happening in Liberia now is the uh, opportunity to build strong institutions in the country. And I think Joseph Boycott, with his age and wisdom, he can kind of help Liberia transform its institutions. So we're not relying on one person, because it is not the it is not the individual that's going to change this country. It's the institutions. So we need to build institutions, because under George Weah broke down the institutions in Liberia, and he made everybody dependent on individuals. So I am concerned about Joseph Boyka's age, but the future still looks good, because the younger Liberians are taking leadership positions now in this country, and it's not going to just be Joseph Boyka leading Liberia. It's going to be all of us. It's going to be all of us. So I'm not afraid of that. If anything happens to him tomorrow, Liberia will still move on. I mean, what I'm happy about is that Liberia is starting to punish bad behavior, and to me, that's more important than the age of a person. Because if somebody continues to abuse you, and you keep allowing them to abuse you, then it is your fault. So if we start punishing these leaders by making them one-term president, you'll see they will start to change. So I'm not concerned. Like I said, we all gotta get dirty. We all got to go back home, and and make Liberia a better country, and not just leave it up to Joseph Boyka. Thank you.
Speaking of one-term president, Dr. Fisk, did the Liberian people finally listen to you when you say, if the guy doesn't perform, give him a red card, making a one-term president? And that was set as a precedent to the rest of the guys who will come following him.
I hope it did. They did. It's showing that they did. Because, I mean, like I said, the logical reason for voting Joseph Boyka in is that George Weah becomes a one-term president. So what it does is it sends a clear message. It gives George Weah record him from the field, because he's not performing. George Weah understands that if there was somebody on the field with AC Milan who were performing like George Weah is doing on the political scene, he would have asked that the coach asked the person off the field, because the person was being a dilemma to the rest of the team. And that's what was happening to Liberia. This guy was suffocating Liberia. Okay. But I just want to briefly talk about, I saw something from one of the viewers. They talk about electricity. Oh yeah. You also need roads. You not only just electricity, you also need roads, and you need a lot of stuff. But check this out. Do we sit down and say with all electricity, we're not because we don't have good roads, so we not create jobs. What create jobs immediately for the people? We know something immediate. Immediately, the problem of Liberia is not agriculture. I've always said this. Liberia has been an agricultural nation for a hell of a long time because people have seen the need to farm because they understand that we have enough rainfall and we have fertile soil. What Liberia has lacked are factories. And with all the noise that people are making, all people always find excuse not to do stuff. We have Firestone in the country, so Firestone tells us how much how much national electricity is Firestone relying on. So if Firestone can do it as an institution that is more or less connected with the U.S. government, why can't Liberia, as an entire country, do it for its own people? Because if you look at it, you look at the cost benefit analysis of using maybe generators and the output, okay? Because that's the concept of industrialization. You're not producing two things a day time, you're producing 200,000. So it's going to be able to pay for the electricity, the excess electricity that is lacking in the country until things can improve. But if and you cannot have the what would take money from the bill electricity? We're going back again for money for electricity. Why people can't understand that at the end of the day, it is only Liberians that will create the capital to develop the country. People need to think. You can't don't be fooling yourself because when you talk like that, then it's like, okay, we're going to go beg the international community for money to build electricity. Damn in Liberia. We don't need to keep begging. Let us develop more innovative ways of trying to generate income for Liberia. The last president who did it was Samuel Doe with the whole we will pay. Okay. So instead of it's one step in improving over what Samuel Doe did. Build factories across the country. And each of those factories have high capacity output. So they're producing thousands and thousands and thousands of bags of rice to an extent that we have to export it. Then you have an opportunity to generate enough income as a nation to be able to go after electricity, to be able to go after roads, and to do those things independently. Because when you go and beg, the poor tell you, say, we want to give you 2 lane road. But when you're using your own money, you can tell them, no, I want 8 lane road because I'm building for the next 80 to 100 years. Thank you.
That is somebody very close to me said, and quote, they have Secret Service now at the residence of Honorable Boycott, two SUVs with an escort car, influx of international dignitaries at visiting the quote unquote unofficially the president elect. And let us talk about the strength of this of the president elect. People are saying he's this guy that would just lay back and others would do the job. But from what I heard, I mean, he doesn't sleep. He's having meetings upon meetings. You supported Barker because of his vision. So I will allow you to speak to that.
So I'm not aware of the Secret Service visiting him, but if they are, that's a good thing. But let's be clear. I recall when he was running, folks made an issue about the age. But I saw the Honorable Joseph Boyka when the political prophet stated that he will not be able to go and campaign. He went and campaigned through the rigorous terrain of Monrovia, Liberia. He went to Bassa several times, went to Margibi, went to, like he was all over the place. All right. So if you don't know this man, you're certainly making a mistake. This man was in and out of Liberia on an airplane. I'm a young man. I went to England the other day and came back tired. Tired. Joseph Boyka, about 3-4 months ago, flew to Newark, drove to Rhode Island, flew to Minnesota, and he told the people there that they think I'm coming to get surgery, but I would give them bypass and they would take the surgery. He flew back to New Jersey. Okay, while he was in Jersey, he called me to say thank you for all you're doing to advance the vision. This is a man who is of age but has the strength and fortitude. Don't believe me? Believe Dr. Thomas Yenswa, who told the whole world, the Ebola czar, told the entire world that the Honorable Joseph Boyka worked tirelessly day and night to ensure the success of the program. Don't believe me? If He was not a man that was rigorous in his service, but I'm certainly wouldn't have given him one of the biggest portfolio in the history of our country. So people are certainly making a mistake. They don't know him. I saw him stand up in Philadelphia at a town hall meeting in the Victory Harvest Church for 2 hours on his feet, and he took questions. So let people continue to make predictions as to whether or not he will be a laid back person. You might get a very rude awakening if you get a job in this government and think that because he's a senior state man, you're just going to chill. He's a man of results. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to say hi to Brother Phillips, Al Phillips. Al Phillips is a political enthusiast and a friend and brother. It's been a long time, Ad. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashford, for giving me the opportunity to share the stage with these fine, great, outstanding gentlemen here tonight. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope everything's fine.
Why don't you
Bridge
tell us?
Radio.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, just within 1 minute?
Well, my name is Elkanah Al Phillips. I currently live in Houston, Texas. I work in the oil and gas industry in the production and midstream segment. I work for a global company, married with 5 kids, beautiful wife, happy life. And my last interaction with the political scene in Liberia was I served as a senior policy advisor for the Robert Morris campaign, who ran as an independent on the ballot number 14. And we drove, we pushed, we educated, we informed the Liberian public about the need, the requirement for building a strong foundation of electricity as the foundation for Liberia's growth, progress, economic development, creating jobs, providing opportunities, and attracting foreign investment to support national development. So, on last week, we came out and supported the candidacy of number 1, the JMB and JKK rescue mission moving forward. So we believe that very strongly that, when everything is tallied up between tonight and tomorrow, number 1 will be number 1 to power up this country and move this country forward.
Thank you, Phillips. What's his Joel's turn? Joel, after elections, there are bad bloods, and we need reconciliation. People need to come together. And Honorable Boyka said his government will be a government of inclusion. As long as you're qualified, you'll be part of his government. He would give you position that you merit, and besides, he will have each cabinet minister across the country from each until he conclude with the 15 political subdivisions, as we saw in the outgoing government, where everybody has to be from the Southeast.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah. Look, I think when it comes to these jobs in Liberia that people are hoping to get, I think for me, what I would like to see is Joseph Boyka leaving Monrovia. Take these people out of Monrovia. Go into the interior of the country. Even if I wouldn't be mad, even if he went, say, my first 3 years, I would spend all my time in Lofa County or somewhere in the southeast. I think it's time to take people and build the interior of the.
Guys, please mute if you're not speaking. Can you please mute your device if you're not speaking? Thank you. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, I think it's time to try to build the interior of the country. Is that my thing? I'm still hearing it. Everybody muted, huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I think, it's nothing wrong with saying you want a diverse government from every tribe in the country. It's fine, but we need to make sure he's hiring competent people. And for the young people that wants job that leaving straight from America, I don't want them to do the same thing that Ellen did, just bring people to Liberia and just give them these high power positions that they didn't even earn. I would like to see people that come from America go into maybe the hospitals or schools for maybe 3 to 6 months somewhere before you put them into these ministries, because when they don't earn these jobs, man, they tend to not really appreciate what they're involved in. So I would like to see that type of policy happening in Liberia with Joseph Boyka. And it's again, CDC claimed that they didn't want to hire anybody from the opposition. Well, we see where that have led, to the lack of diversity within CDC. We see where that has led Liberia. That the street is filthy. All the systems have been broken down. All the institutions are broken up in Liberia, and maybe that's by design. Maybe that's how they wanted it. So hopefully Joseph Boyka will avoid that trap. And if not, trust me, we're going to be on his back. He's not going to get a free pass. There is no honeymoon period. Thank you.
But Dr. Fisk, it is good to talk about factories and jobs. But in the absence of electricity, you can't get these things done. And Phillips was the one that is stressing on electricity. You have to have uh, constant electricity to get these things done, because if you don't have power, how will you get it done?
And cheap electricity too.
Dr. Fisk, please unmute the device.
Yeah, where is Firestone getting her electricity from? Because you see, these are how you develop policies. Because now you look at good examples and then you learn from it. Okay, Firestone has been in existence in Liberia for a long time now. 1927, continues to exist despite all of the wars that we fought in the country. There were times there were no electricity in Liberia, but Firestone to continue to export rubber. How is Firestone doing it? So can we look at Firestone and learn from Firestone? Isn't there nothing we can learn from Firestone if we want to create? If we're really serious about creating jobs for our people, to build an electric dam is going to cost at least 2 to 3 years. So with 2 to 3 years, you're building an electric dam. You say, okay, for instance, let buy the argument. For instance, let not create no other job until we have electricity going in the country. Okay, how many people is building a dam is going to create? Mind you, now we have millions of people that are unemployed in Liberia. So say, okay, if we don't build dams, we will not give people jobs. So then, where we getting the money from now? So then you see, then you want to reduce Joseph Boyka to George Weah to get on a plane and be begging all the time, right? So that's the solution to the problem. Why you begging and building electricity dam? You are supposed to be poor, but yet and still you're sending money to China and India to import rice into Liberia, right? I mean, they're not rocket science. People need to think through these things very carefully. Liberian people need jobs. The quickest thing that's going to give jobs to Liberian people are those factories. So if you create the factory with high capacity, so let's look at it this way. You create a factory that is able to produce maybe 15,000 bags of rice on a daily basis. That output is able to pay for any kind of electricity that we're talking about conceivably. That's the same policy Firestone is following. Firestone is exporting sufficient amount of rubber that they can decide to put generators over there, and they'll be able to pay for it because of the level of the output of this. It's self-sustaining. Okay, so you have people that can design those things so that those things become workable. But if we always sit down and find an excuse and always design a way to beg, then I'm sorry. Then people just wasted their time. Then they should have just kept George Weah there because his lack of ideas. That's why he was removed from power. He doesn't have ideas. Liberia, the problem with Liberia is not, to wrap up, the problem with Liberia is not agriculture.
Thank you.
Liberia always had agriculture. It's agro-industry. It's what we don't have. And we need it because Liberians need jobs.
Thank you. What folks, if you just joining us, this is Rescue Breach. Hold on 1 minute, please. This is the Rescue Breach on Breach Radio Africa. Philida Colbert Phillips, it's been a long time, my sister. How are you? I sure hope you're having a great time tonight. And I also see Mami Esther Tapi Moore is being the bending as well. It does this before you come in. This is very important. I want to go to Mr. Phillips because he has he has a passion for electricity in our country. How are we going to get this done? Are we going to beg our way to electricity in the country? I know you talk about electricity before factories and job creation. Please unmute your device, Mr. Phillips.
Oh, okay, here we go. Let me just come in here for a second. Let me just set the record straight. fundamentally, before the administration of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf left office 6 years ago, the MCC made an investment of $270 million into the Mount Coffee hydropower plant. That was our primary generating capacity. So the hydropower plant was rebuilt, reestablished, brought back online, but it was a fundamental flaw. They focused so much on generation, and because of the level of lack of understanding in the energy business, that energy is business, and there's a business of energy. They focused all of their attention on generation and did not establish any investments in transmission to move the power from Mount Coffee and transmit the power to other parts of Liberia, and then distribute the power to other parts within every county. So that is the fundamental issue of the challenge in Liberia. Before she left office, there is this organization that was being built across the West Africa region called the West Africa Power Pool, the WPP, or the WAP. Okay, so the West Africa Power Pool finally came to light, and there was an agreement established between La Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea called Transco CLSG. This agreement was signed, and it was funded by the Africa Development Bank, several European banks, to build one of the most magnificent engineering projects across the Mana River Union.
You have 90 seconds.
So the transmission line currently runs and operates from Mont La Cote d'Ivoire. Built 5 substations in Liberia. One is in Yekepa, one is in Botota, one is in Buchanan. The number 4 is at the Mount Coffee Dam, and number 5 is in Robertsport. And then the transmission line goes to Sierra Leone. Liberia has an overabundant amount of electricity as I speak to you, as I speak. But the challenge was you had a leadership that didn't understand the importance of electricity. So they spent 6 years and they didn't do any investments in distributing the power from the substation. I'll prove it to you. Buchanan sits in darkness as we speak, but there's a substation in Buchanan that is 50% of the Mount Coffee capacity. Imagine that. So Dr. James says, you speak about factories. I'm an electrical engineer. I've been an engineer for over 25 years, University of Houston grad. I work in the energy sector. Our challenges are very, very simple, but we have the lack of understanding as to how to do it. Liberians don't need to beg. We have a large commercial bank sector. I've talked about this so many times, Astrid, you and I have spoken about this. We have a $1+ billion economy. Our national budget is $766 billion.
20 seconds, please. I'm going to extend the program tonight to 2 hours.
So,
how you know time? You have 20 seconds.
So I'll end with this. I've driven this point to the JMB and JKK team. Build what we call the National Electric Grid. Make concrete poles in every county. Tie every county to the grid and stimulate the local economy in every county, and your problem is solved. 90% of Liberia's challenges stem from the lack of electricity.
Thank you, Phillips. Idatus, I will allow you to come in because it's been a while since you last spoke. Following that, we'll take if Dr. Face doesn't have anything to say, we'll take a break and open the telephone lines. Go ahead, Idatus.
Right, I keep hearing Dr. Face factory, but you need to have some infrastructure in place. So electricity plays a role. Factories don't just come out of the sky. You got to have a product that will connect within the global village, within the international economy for production and exportation. And it is not within the business of government to start creating all these things. Government creates the atmosphere, creates the loans for Liberians to facilitate an economic society where they can grow our own food. Okay, but government can be the one that finance those projects for Liberians to invest in those different areas. But this idea of factory, there are lots of infrastructures that are missing in Liberia, like Mr. Phillips stated. We have the dam, but we don't have distribution capacity. You know, they have not built these poles. So a lot of things need to be done. The Firestone that you're mentioning, they function on a hydro plant supplying 60,000 people. That hydro dam was built in 1942. So Firestone is exporting rubber, but they also need electricity. So one of the things we can encourage our you know, the concession aspect of our extractive industry is to encourage them to build some facilities, such as maybe your putting our, you know, rubber. But the truth is, we have to have some infrastructure in place, road connectivities, how you move the goods out. What is your market? You know, so a lot of things go into it. And yes, I will disagree on this particular one. We have an agriculture problem. When you can't feed yourself, you can't grow your own food. That is an agriculture problem. If you don't have the, you know, the mental innovation to make these things happen, you will continue to import as opposed to exporting. So we do have an agriculture problem. You can have the, you know, the most fertile soil. If you don't have the innovation to harness the skills and capacity to produce, you have a problem. So yes, you know, agro-industry is something we like to go in, but it takes a visionary leader to make that possible. And that is one of the Honorable Joseph Imapoika's vision for Liberia.
Thank you, Evatus. I will bring in Joel, and then Fix will have the last word before we take to the telephone lines. Joel?
Yeah. Look, you know, me and Dr. Fitz, we've been back and forth with this factory business. While I agree, Liberians do need jobs, but I have to agree with the other two panelists. Look, I get confused sometimes because I don't know if Dr. Fisk is saying, like, me, Joel Dennis, as a private individual, if I want to start a factory in Liberia, I need to provide my own source of electricity. If I have to do that, that's going to drive up my cost to do business. So if I'm automatically starting on a cost where it's going to cost me, I don't know, $50 to $100 to produce one bag of rice, guess who my competition is? Vietnam, China. They're going to sell that bag of rice way cheaper than I can produce it in Liberia because of the electricity cost. So I do agree that we do need to fix these problems. But with the government, every single government we've had since the war have had competing priorities. Where do you put the money? I agree. I listened to Mr. Phillips talk about the electricity tonight. Some of these things I was not aware of, but I'm still under the assumption, though, that if you have, even in the United States of America, if a private company comes and set up an electricity corporation in XYZ town, there is a huge upfront investment. Where does that money come from when you set up this? When you set it up, because here the government subsidizes some of that cost to give the citizens cheap electricity. Somebody has to pay for it. If the Liberians right now, if they're having to decide whether to eat or buy, you know, a card to charge their electricity, I think they're going to go buy the cup of rice. So who's going to pay for all of these things? So with the government having all these competing priorities, it's a mess. But electricity needs to happen before you have any kind of real factories in Liberia. Thank you.
But let me bring it down to fix. Nobody talks about factory without having electricity in the mental blueprint. So let me have Dr. Fix come in to respond on that one.
Okay, yeah, because I really, you know, I still don't get it. That's why the Bible says, with all vision, people perish. Okay, so like Dr. Reverend Adi said, rightly so. Is Firestone rely on all that stuff that Mr. Philip talked about? No, Firestone not rely on all that, or electricity coming from Ivory Coast, blah, blah, blah. They're not relying on that stuff. They've generated their own power because they know what they are getting in terms of end product. So let's talk about even Joel. Joel talk about private. Who talk about private citizen? There was a time on this platform that we addressed the notion that government should not be involved in creating direct public sector opportunities for its citizens. And we said that's a blatant lie. That in too many European countries, South American countries, government is directly involved in creating job opportunities for her people. So I don't know what kind of policy that the Reverend is talking about, that, oh, the government should only create the enabling environment. That was some garbage that the IMF shot out and fed it to African countries, knowing full well that is not what was obtaining in the West. And this is the garbage that Africans continue to run with, that continue to tell you that at the end of the day, don't build your own institutions while we continue to put you in a position not to compete with us. Okay? All I'm saying is simple. You can build factories. You say, oh, we need the infrastructure. Isn't factory and infrastructure that we need? We're not asking private citizens because the kind of upfront capital that it requires. How many private citizens have that capacity? Or even if they had that capacity, would be willing to invest in Liberia? I don't see that many. Okay, unless maybe you're talking about Elon Musk. Okay, so all I'm saying is this. Immediately after this 6 years of sham, what is the immediate concern of what should be the immediate concern of any government right now? It's creating jobs for Liberian people. What can we do to create massive job employment, factories, whether we like it or not? Okay, and then we say Liberia never had an agriculture problem because Liberians grow food. Liberia has never had an agriculture problem because we have fertile soil. What we have is an agro-industrial problem. And because of the lack of industries, we cannot compete with China and India. It doesn't mean we don't have good agriculture, we don't have good soil. All it means is that we lack the factories. So let's build the factories to compete and continue and stop running to these people for something that we can create in our own country. You don't need, Firestone has shown us that we don't need any kind of dam from Ivory Coast, because if we build a factory that's big enough to have a high output capacity, it will be able to pay for the power that is needed to be able to get the output. Okay, so can we do something that's self-sustainable? Can we get engineers to sit down? That's how America is going to the moon, and China and the rest of them are competing. It's like some kind of reason Africans don't see the need to think about how to overcome the impossible. It's just some kind of African thing that baffles me all the time. We can't sit there and always say, oh, this is why we can't do it. This is why we can't do it. The reason why the West is successful and Africa will continue to remain backward is because people always think that, oh, this is something we cannot or should not do. And it's appalling.
Thank you, Face. Okay, folks, with that said, we want to take to the telephone lines now. But before then, let us take a break and have you listen to
Who listening to the ocean?
George. We are good. The people are tired. At this time, we have Mr. Herbert Fisk on the line. Herbert, hello.
Astro, that's one hell of a song. But I'd like to address two issues. The first issue is the doctor is absolutely right. Let's do some fact checking when we talk about factory. Let's look at his young president. He's the youngest president in Faso, Ibrahim Touré. When Touré became president, the drive of France, all right, but he started to create factories because his vision is, okay, instead of us exporting the raw things or the different things to the Western country, you understand, those things can be built here. And guess what? A lot of Western countries even got on board. And not only are they building diamond factories and different factories, they're building different kinds of plants. So factories absolutely important, yes, because right now in Burkina Faso, You understand? That's a huge job creation. You guys can look it up. Because when Ibrahim Toure, all right, asked to build factories and stop employing the people. Now, Pastor, adding one thing, I want you to please convey to our new president that's coming. I hear what the different investments that he has. One thing he needs to do is to invest into the youth. You have a lot of youth that went to Don Bosco who are carpenters. Let them provide them loans to boost the economy. Because if you got, kids who went to Don Bosco, different schools, electricity school or carpentry schools, they can start a little small business. The government can give them loan, and they can start small business in their community. They don't have to come to Monrovia. So let's say somebody from Baxa or Nimba, if the government invests in them, give them no loan, they can start a small business. So invest in the youth, you understand, who went to these low technical schools. Thank you, Ashford.
Thank you. That's the voice of Herbert making his presence known tonight on Bridge Radio Africa on the Rescue Bridge. We have a 510 number. Tell us your name. The last 4 digits, 9406. Hello.
Hey, Ashra, Sanford here. God bless.
You're live. Welcome to the show, my brother. It's been a minute.
And I also want to recognize my former boss. So I think I want to agree with Mr. Phillips in part because you cannot build a system without electricity. Because I'm a living witness, so some of the issues that I'm currently facing in Liberia, I'm setting up a ISP there in Liberia, and I know the challenges when it comes to electricity. You spend more money, investing into spending more money on power generation for those equipment, rather than even providing giving the cost of the internet to the people. So everybody kind of making some point here, but you have to set the basis. The government has to set the infrastructure that would enable private citizens like some of us to be able to create jobs. Factories cannot run without power. You cannot have all these other businesses running. And also on the issue of any loan, the government has to set this kind of policies that will create that will make Liberian business owner, privatize Liberian businesses to be able to get loan that makes it flexible for people to create jobs. So again, I want to agree with everybody.
Thank you.
But I think there are some competing challenges, and some of those challenges, the primary issue should focus on setting up the infrastructure. The policies to be driven on government building
thank you,
policies that will be able to set the basis for private citizens to invest. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a 253 number, the last 4 digits of your number, 9600. Tell us your name.
My name is Napoleon Bala.
Mr. Bada, welcome to the show. Go ahead, make your point.
Okay. Thank you ever so much, gentlemen. It's very good to be with you guys tonight. It's my first time calling on this show. And one thing I take away from this show is I heard the director saying that every mentality of the African region, we think that we cannot do certain things, and sometimes we say, "Oh, we cannot do this. This cannot happen." There's nothing impossible if you don't work towards it. One thing I believe in life is anything that you work towards it with a mindset that it is in the interest of the masses.
Thank you.
Lord said we need the opportunity to get into.
Thank you.
What about Firestone? And he's giving a very good example. We as Liberian, if we put our mind to Liberia being improved with the government that we need, and as a government that we got today that we know JMB to be up, the agriculture sector that he's talking about, JMB has led the agriculture sector before, and we have many food in our country, and some people can attest to. So I think he make a very good sense. We have to put our mind to that and do it. And as we live in the diaspora, we should have the mindset that we have a country that we want to go back to. Everything we do outside here, we should have the mind to take those things back to Liberia so that we can have an improved country.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take one last caller, then we'll go back to the room. We have a 267 number. The last 4 digits of your number, 4536. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Florence Decor, and I call from Pennsylvania.
Okay, welcome to the show, Florence. Go ahead, make your point.
Thank you, Mr. Gotti. My point, I want to say to the incoming president, Joseph Numa Boakai, I just want the incoming president to know in his first 100 days, I want him to make road connectivities, because the life of Joseph Numa Boakai and the life of Amara Kone and our incoming Vice President Jeremiah Pankung, they all hail from the village, which is Nimba and Lofa, which are the bread baskets of Liberia. So if they make roads connectivities, the farmers, which are their mothers, that they said the mothers as the breadwinner, and that they farm from farm to markets, that they will make rural connectivity to be a part of the government, that our mothers will make their farms, and then their produce will be brought to the city. They don't have to store their produce from the markets. So that means they will sell the market, and their kids will be able to go to school by paying their school fees. So that's where Joseph Numa Boakai hailed from, and that's where Jeremiah Pankung hailed from. So I just want to say to our incoming president, Joseph Numa Boakai, and our vice tenant bearer, Jeremiah Pankung, road connectivity. That would be a great thing for our government. That means everybody will be inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, folks, let me see if I can squeeze in this last caller. The number is 215. That's the area code. The last 4 digits of your number, 4291. Please tell us your name.
Hi, Ashra. How you doing?
I'm better than good. Who are you? Tell us your name.
My name is Larry Putu.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Not much better. Listen, man, I have a concern here.
Go ahead.
Concern.
Go ahead, Larry. We're listening.
Liberia is greatly divided right now.
Mm-hmm.
It has been divided for the past, I don't know how many years. And it's evident by these elections that we just heard, okay? Especially with the divide in the southeast. This is very crazy to see a country divided like this. Imagine people are voting, 100% of people voting for a certain person. Okay, think about it. This is, to me, tribalism. It's deep. I feel that there's a problem in Liberia. If that problem is not solved, Liberia is headed towards a dangerous path because of tribalism. And that's my concern here. Even President Boakai coming to power, he has serious challenges. If these things, these social issues like tribalism are not tackled.
Thank you.
The people of the southeast, it's like Liberia is divided into 2 different areas. The people of the southeast and the other people.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. Thanks for your contribution. Okay, well, gentlemen, at this time, we want to go around the room and weigh in from what the callers have said and from what your fellow panelists have also said. And I will give each panelist 2 minutes to weigh in. And following the round of the 2 minutes, then we can have closing statements. Let us begin with Al Phillips. 2 minutes, please. Please unmute your device.
Okay, so let's unpack real quickly. Number one, I was born and raised in Firestone. So Firestone is all that I know all my life. My father, my grandfather came there. My father was born there. All of us were born there. So all we know, Dr. Fitz, is 24/7 electricity because that's all we were born and raised up to be. Firestone built a hydropower dam, you're correct, between 1942 and 1947. And since then, those 4 turbines have not stopped turning. And Harvey Firestone did it because he had a vision and he understood that his vision would not live the next 100 years that we are about to get to very, very, very shortly without the availability, the supply of electricity. The situation for Liberia is very, very straightforward. Very straightforward, Mr. Adi. Transco provides enough electricity. There's not enough time for me to go deep into it. We have the capacity of almost 3 Mount Coffee hydropower dam running 24/7 in Liberia. Everyone knows in these United States where we reside, the number one thing for job creation is what? Infrastructure development. So building the national electric power grid across every county and tying those counties into the Transco substations using concrete cement poles will stimulate massive job creation across this country. Now, every county has its own existing economy, but the economy cannot grow because electricity is not there. So once you plug Cape Mount into the grid, automatically that economy takes up going. We had, last but not least, we have a $5 billion value diaspora population, US, Canada, Europe. All they know is electricity.
30 seconds.
How do you get them back into Liberia, into all the counties? Build a national electric power grid, tie it to Transco, power up the counties, and your diaspora population transitions back to Liberia. Mr. Joel Dennis, there's enough electricity to support your investment, your dream to create jobs in the country. It's already there. But the challenge over the past 6 years, you had a leadership that didn't understand that what they had been given was the success for the country. So JMB, JKK, the Unity Party government has their work already solved. Tribalism comes about when you have the lack of opportunities and people start fighting for the few opportunities that are there.
Yep.
Last but not least, the failure of this government, this outgoing government, is that they had a 50% capacity of power sitting in Buchanan where Mittal Steel, Liberia's largest investment, is. And they never powered up the county. Mittal Steel imports, brings in diesel fuel from Monrovia every day to power up their own operations. That's sad. And the power station there can power up Grand Bassa and run down to
Thank you.
Maryland. I rest my case.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. I will go to the Reverend Ida Tuzadi to take his 2 minutes.
Right. Yes, certainly. Tribalism is a problem in our country, but it is part of our diversity. But any government that has a vision to create a wholesome functioning society, in the words of Wilmar Talbot, will certainly minimize, that whole idea about tribalism, because people are able to sustain themselves by opportunities created by government. In 1944, William V. Stuckman started what you call the open door policy. That policy was able to attract foreign investment that created jobs for the people. We saw Lamco, we saw Firestone, we saw Bung Mines. All of these entities came, and Liberians were able to work outside of Monrovia, outside of the capital. So when we talk about government creating the enabling environment, is having the ability to attract foreign direct investments that will in fact create the factory. And that is why I love what Herbert Fitzgerald stated. The president now in, I think it's Niger, remember when he said, let us do it here ourselves, foreign companies came and joined and created a partnership that will create jobs for the people, thereby government enjoying the revenue to invest in other key areas that will uplift the population, educationally, health-wise, and economically. So, factories are a great idea. Nobody's discounting factory. But like we've been stating, you have to put the infrastructure in place for even foreign investors to come. I'm not taking my company to a place that got no ability to supply or sustain my capacity. So we need to put those structure in place. Distribution is an opportunity for Liberians to take companies there, as Mr. Phillips stated. We already have a company on the ground, Transcorp, to be able to distribute that. If they break it up as well, for other Liberians to be able to participate, as you have in these first world countries today, where different companies supplying electricity. That is an opportunity for job creation. So factory is fine, but when you can set up a policy, Toba had total involvement for higher heights, and agriculture was his principal policy. Liberia began to feed itself. We had several local entities like BCADP, CARI, and all of the cooperatives came about. Why? Because government created the atmosphere for that reality, and then came in the LPMC to be able to harness products produced by
Thank you.
Liberians for exportation. And clearly, you would see that when you look at one of the year's government report, by virtue of the fact that we were producing rice by 1975, we would have reduced our importation of rice by 38% under the William R. Talbot's policy.
That's the
Of
voice
which
of the
Joseph Boyka was
Reverend
at the core.
Idatus added making his presence known tonight. The Rescue Bridge. Folks, if you just joining us, you own a business out there, you want us to create awareness for your business, please feel free to contact us. We can do voice over production for you and task people telling us about your business. In the meantime, I know people complain about not seeing us every day. You know, these things cost money. We have never and will never be in the pocket of any government. This platform is self-funded. So any low that the water that we say in the library, we can put a fire. We have the Cash App and Zelle on there. It's 267-248-5295. Help donate, contribute towards the platform so that we can come here every day and have you enjoy good panelists and hear about your country. At this time, Joel Dennis, take it away, your 2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things Reverend Addis said. Look, the government of Liberia can barely handle the passport office. They should not be in the business of creating factories. And when you start talking about government creating factories, who is the government? You want Natanya McGill to own factory? You want Thomas Fala to own factory? Then somebody like me, who cannot even compete in that environment if you choose certain people to open factories in Liberia? That type of competition will not happen because they're already doing it. McGill, they own everything. George Weah own everything. That's the reason why somebody like me can't go into Liberia and take the risk, because I am competing against somebody that I cannot win against. So while I agree we need to create jobs in Liberia, and factories, jobs, look, the world has moved into a digital economy. I passed by a farm in Iowa the other day. I saw only 2 people on that farm. The rest was machines. People are not this old-fashioned way where people got shovel and hoe and digging hole and saying, those days are over. We do need to invest in, an economy that will help digitize the farming system, but we need to move beyond that. And also we have to taper our expectations. Look, people see roads in America. These things are not just built because of the charity of the United States government. Every time you drive, when you fill up your tank, you're paying towards the road maintenance. There is a tax there. Our checks, we pay taxes. So Liberians themselves got to get involved. They can't just say Joseph Boyka should come and build roads. He cannot do it. Where's the money going to come from? That's a big investment. We need to have skins in the game. Yes, create jobs, but they understand that taxes need to be paid for these things to happen. It just cannot happen. Thank you.
The big thanks to we got a few contribution here. I want to say the big thanks to you, Faj Filita Design. She just contributed. We also love to say the big thanks to Louis. Thanks for your contribution. With more of these, we promise we'll come here every night and inform, entertain, and do what it is that you have to do. Like I said, you own a business out there. You want us to create a bit awareness for your business. You got the golden voice. Come on. When he touches your business, people come in. Dr. Fisk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of sad, but let's look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie, right? So Liberia has a current population of 5 million. If you reduce that, reconfigure that population into families, you will note that Liberia has at least 3 million families. Okay, so let's assume that a family is eating just a bag of rice per month, because some people eat 2, some people eat 3, some people eat 1, some people eat less than 1. You are looking at an average of $3 million. Let's just talk about rice. $3 million of rice that has been purchased every month in Liberia. Okay, so after 10 months, that's how much? That's $3 billion. If you put another 2 months there to make it 12, that's almost $4 billion that the government of Liberia is losing every year to China and India. But we say we need money to build roads. What, that magic? We'll go beg for money to build roads, and we're losing almost $4 billion. We need electrical grill. What we went big again? Why we can't use what we have? What kind of international community do you need when you already have a population of 5 million people, maybe 3 million families? What other white person need to come to your country before you understand that you can be innovative to create job for your own people? That is the dilemma that's facing the African mentality. We always have the mentality that we can't. Meanwhile, we can. As Obama would say, yes, we can. People can pull people on the moon and trying to see whether they can send people to go and explore the sun. It doesn't make sense that we can sit down and try to create all these hurdles for ourselves. One of these callers talk about how he, as an individual, and I keep saying on this platform that for the kind of discussion I'm having, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about government direct involvement. And we've produced research on this show that demonstrated that that's a big lie to say that, government not supposed to be involved. Government supposed to only create that IMF nonsense that came back in the 80s. Government is only supposed to create the enabling environment. Are you kidding me? The PL 480, where American government went in directly to purchase farmers' rights, the surplus. That's direct involvement to make sure that there's sustainability within the farming sector in the United States of America. So for some reason, it's good for America, for government to get directly involved in creating jobs like road projects and the rest of it. Those are direct involvement. These are not privately owned factories that are building roads. These are government sending money to the states for the states to create these jobs. Okay, so it's good for American government to get directly involved in public sector job creation. It's good for the French government. It's good for the German government. For some reason, because IMF told Africa that, when it comes to creating jobs, the government shouldn't do it. You should wait for private citizens. So all the African people, their mind have been tuned to think that, no, we can't do it. What's the essence of a government if your mentality is about can't? CAN''T. We may as well just have kept Josh. We are there because all he did was to beg.
Thank you.
We need to be more innovative than that.
Thank you, Dr. Face. Again, folks, if you just joining us, we want to say a big thanks to our contributors tonight on the show. Our sister, the Phillips, and also to say a big thanks to Louis. There's another contribution here from Walker, I believe, Catherine Walker. She just zealous something. And again, the more you do this, because let me say this to you, we are going to grow with this new government and we'll hold their feet to the fire, and that's what British Radio will be all about. We independently critique the people, constructively critique them. If they say anything on the other, come on now, we're gonna go after them. So just rest assured that Bridgefield will be here without any favor and fear. We will talk to our Liberian people at this time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you own a business out there, you want us to create a business for you, just let us know. Okay, if you're interested in being a part of the Breach Radio family, let us know. Listen, this is what I do. I went to school for this. I am professionally trained for this. We need more radio stations and TV stations in Liberia. We built, our names are all on the wall in terms of providing consultancy. We add the media mogul consultant, and of course, we can do this for you. We'll teach our people how to talk on the radio. Because I'm pretty sure many of the voices here on the radio, they're not professionally trained. And with the influx of radio and TV stations in the country, you had to get anything out. So we are here to do those things for you, but we need your help. You want to invest? We can talk about that, but we need your contribution to help us help grow with the government in Liberia. At this time, we will begin taking closing statements, and we'll begin with our Phillips. Please unmute your device.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you, Ashford, and thank you to all of the gentlemen here I shared this stage with tonight. Thank you so much for the great ideas and discussions. I will go back to my fundamental premise. Liberia's future depends on a solid, deep, wide, and strong foundation of electricity, because electricity connects and makes everything possible. The banking sector, the education sector, the health sector, the agro manufacturing production sector that will create growth and wealth for all of the farmers, telecommunications, you name it, everything depends on electricity. Every developed nation, even like Cote d'Ivoire today, Ghana today, their success is fundamentally based in what? In the availability, the supply, and the distribution of electricity. That part of it has already been done for us. Transco, Liberia is part of the Transco organization. We have a good regulatory framework, so all of the work for private investment from the U.S. can actually come in and become their own energy company in Liberia. Great things have been done, but the challenge has been the knowledge and the expression of it has not taken place. I strongly believe that Liberia will be a great country. We have a $5 billion worth diaspora that's desiring to go back, but they're relying on the availability of electricity to be readily available. The only way to attract foreign investments in Liberia into all sectors is with the availability of electricity. The cost of telecommunications cannot come down without the availability of electricity, because the operators' biggest expense is diesel fuel because of the lack of electricity. All of the concessions in Liberia cannot expand because their number one cost is diesel fuel to run generators to run their operations. So they cannot create more jobs. So all Liberian industries over the past 6 years have suffered because of the lack of reliable electricity. So I believe if the incoming JMB and JKK government can focus on this one thing and build this national electric grid, and that, Dr. Fisk, I think your point about begging is misplaced, because Liberia has a very, very robust and attractive commercial banking sector. And you are right. The leadership under JMB and JKK needs to be very creative so that they can engage this commercial banking sector in a government a partnership arrangement. I won't reveal my solution for that, so that this national electric grid can be built that will benefit foreign investments coming in. They get a return on their investment. The nation gets job creation. Joel and the rest of the diaspora investors get an opportunity to look at the entire country to invest. New markets are established in every county, and we can progressively move forward to be the lone star, the bright star of ECOWAS and the minor river. I'm extremely excited. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Reverend Added?
Well, Ashford, these elections are over, and the reunification of our people is the responsibility of the leadership. We've campaigned, we've said all the best things about the vision, but it's time that we come back together as one people, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all. And those who may be disappointed in many ways, shape, or form, Liberia is the nation we know. It's the nation we have. So the development, socioeconomic or politically, of Liberia is a collective action based on a collective will of every one of us, irrespective of race, color, creed, tribe, religion. Because Liberia is our home, and every one of us, not just government, carry the responsibility to build Liberia. So when we talk about an enabling environment, is government ensuring that the security of its people will allow foreign direct investment? For Liberians in the diaspora, worth $5 billion to be able to go home. Government has to create the atmosphere for that reality to happen. Government have to have some infrastructure in place. An enabling environment, we're not saying that government shouldn't, have factories available, but government can be able to sell itself in a way where its foreign policy can attract foreign direct investment to create jobs for the people of Liberia. And that is why you have our extractive industries today that are being manned by foreign companies. So maybe when we sign our contracts, we can encourage them to have factories built in our country as part of the deals, to have things produced in Liberia. Like Firestone can produce rubber cups or slippers. Like Lamco can begin to process iron ore in Liberia instead of exporting everything, that we can produce something. So yes, we embrace factory. We are not denying that this is impossible. But if government is expected to do a foreign direct investment, no. When you look at the policy of Wilmar Talbot in agriculture, it was foreign direct investment and then empowering people. And that's how most of the cooperatives started. And then LPMC was responsible to harness goods or agricultural products produced by the citizens, by the people for export. And that's how Liberia started to export cocoa, coffee, cucumber. In fact, on the Talbot, we're exporting crawfish. So these were private citizens doing that. So that by that reality, you can create jobs. So yes, Dr. Fakes, factory is an excellent idea. But you know what? We as Liberians, if our government can guarantee our security, have a systemic approach to this reality, yes, those things can be made possible. And that is why all of us need to rally around Joseph Yuma Boyka and his government to ensure we make Liberia a better place that we all can be proud of today or tomorrow or a future not too distant. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Al Phillips, that tomorrow again, we can do this, same time, same place, because we will have to keep doing this for the Liberian to grow with this new administration. So, Joel Dennis, 2 minutes, take it away. Unmute your device, please.
Yeah, I want to yield my 2 minutes to Mr. Phillips if he doesn't mind, because I have a question.
Okay.
Where do you, where do you see an alternative source of energy in the future of Liberia, like solar and wind farm? Because I know we keep talking about electricity generation. I know it's kind of expensive. It's there, we can get it, but can the common person afford it? So my question to you is, speaking of the green future and all that stuff, do you see any sort of alternative source of energy as in Liberia in terms of solar or a wind farm in the future?
Okay, so quickly, as I said earlier, Transco provides an overabundant amount of electricity. The actual capacity of Transco is 2.75%, okay, in terms of, let's say, 2.75% of a Mount Coffee Dam. So that means we've got an additional 2 Mount Coffee Dam and then 75% of a Mount Coffee Dam. That's how much power is in Liberia. Just conceive that.
Wow.
Okay. And the substations are strategically positioned so that Robert Sport can build up Cape Mount, Bombay, Bapolu up to Lofa. Buchanan can support Grand Bassa, Riverside, Grand Cru all the way to Maryland. Botota can supply Bond County into Lower Nimba. Yekepa can supply Northern Nimba all the way down to Grand Jita. These things have already been laid out, but guess what? There's no distribution.
Yeah, but I'm not asking you about the supply side. I'm asking you, can the Liberians afford it? Because we don't know. I mean, what are they charging Liberia?
Let me get to that point. The business of energy is such that the cost of energy paid by every subscriber on the meter is directly connected or directly proportional to the number of meters on the grid. You get my point?
Yes.
So when you increase the number of people connected on the grid, the cost, guess what, becomes lower. That's where the creative mindset that Dr. Fish talked about needs to be applied by the JMB JKK leadership so that they can create and craft the framework to stimulate growth, to build this grid, connect the counters, connect more people on the grid, and lower the cost to support what you're talking about.
Thank you. At this time, we will
do I make any sense? Because when you go green, your upfront capital investment is extremely high. That's the challenge. But you will still be left with having to what? Distribute the power.
Thank you, Phillips. Dr. Fisk, take us home with your closing statement.
Okay. Yeah, so I say once more, we're talking about losing almost $5 billion every year. I want to see the international community investor who is not interested in our extractive industry that will come to make that kind of investment in the country. Okay, I don't see it. And it's been a failure. The open door policy was a big failure because all it did was that the so-called international people came, extracted our iron ore and built Bethlehem Steel. And look at Liberia and left Liberia in tatters. We need to learn the lesson. Okay, that's the reason why history is there. So all I'm saying is something very simple. And let me just for segue 1 second into what Mr. Phillips has said. I'm not saying that we should not have electricity. No, I'm not. That's not my argument. And it's reasonable to appreciate that. Okay, fine. You have this Transco and all of these electrical arrangements have been made. But all I'm saying is that we cannot sit and wait while these electrical infrastructures are being put in place. Because why? The overarching problem facing Liberia right now is not the absence of electricity. The overarching problem facing Liberia right now is the absence of jobs. So we want to ask ourselves, what do we do to stimulate massive job employment? And you say electricity. I'm saying that electricity is a precondition, but you need to have income to have electricity. And if we are ignoring up to $5 billion every year, but yet and still we talk about trying to go to these mini banks because we negotiate millions of dollars. I mean, they don't add up. Okay, they don't add up. So that is where we need to be visionaries. Okay, talking about taking somebody to the moon is an impossibility. The other day at Florida, there was a rocket ship that landed. Usually the rocket will land in the sea, but right now the people have been able to get technology to the point that the rocket will come and land straight and set down. Okay, that's technology. That's trying to make the impossible possible. What we don't have in Liberia is electricity, and then I agree. But the people need jobs. Okay, so what do we do? And then at peak every month, Liberia is losing up to $4 million to China and India. We need those revenues. And when we talk about markets, before you talk about international markets, why don't you talk about saturating your own local market with the produce that you produce? So while we start talking about international, and that's the problem that's facing Africa, we produce what we don't consume. And then we rely on the international community to supply us with what we consume. That's the whole structure that got Africa where it is today, on its knees. So the idea of a leadership is someone who can look at those kind of critical problems and say, this is nonsense. It's about time that all this crap come to an end. And one thing Joseph Waka can do for the Liberia is to declare rice as a national security commodity. In other words, that almost $5 million that Liberia is losing every month, we're going to make sure that that money is going to stay right in this country to develop Liberia. No foreigner. Sure, one government that's going to invest $5 million in Liberia on a yearly basis. I don't see it. Only Liberia can do it for Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, folks,
rice is already a national security commodity for Liberia.
It is not. When was it declared?
Yes, it is.
When was it declared?
You don't have to declare it.
You
go
can
and go and look at your commerce. Listen, hold on. That there are certain commodities that are considered national security issue. Rice is just staple food. It's a national security issue.
When was it declared as a national security commodity? When was it declared? When was rice declared national security commodity?
Listen, Dr. Fix, you have to go and read the thing.
No,
there are certain products within the commerce. Okay,
we'll be back tomorrow night, and we can continue.
Anyway,
gentlemen, we'll continue that with tomorrow night. Okay, with that, please, folks, I want to say a big thank you again to everyone, those who contributed, to my fellow panelists. I want to say a big thanks to you. Thanks to thanks to the people of Liberia for making a very sound decision. Until then, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. When people say no to you, they're not saying no to you. They are saying no to themselves. They're saying no to living a bigger life. They are saying no to what is going on in their heads because they're suffering from possibility blindness. Okay? Listen, folks, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. What people think about you and the possibility for your dream, it's none of your business. Having said that, don't see okra and swallow bone because you can't hide your nakedness from bathing bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. Jawuri pine, jisi fanikon. Ule no muzu, anyone you double. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same